This might actually bring in more capital investment. If you're a growing company and you're looking for new investment, or you have shareholders, or you're a public company, this might actually be one of the things that really brings in new investors. Attack tariffs with vertical integration and automation. As you know, everybody's being attacked with tariffs and navigating how do we get past this, right? How do we find suppliers, and how do we mitigate the expense of the suppliers and the new tariffs, right? A lot of automotive and a lot of other industries are outsourcing a lot of the manufacturing to Mexico. There was a huge shift in the United States back in like 2008. We shifted a bunch of our automotive industry over to Mexico, over to Canada. And when we did that process, it left the United States with less ability to manufacture internally. And not just manufacture internally, but manufacture internally here in the United States. So now that there's so many things being manufactured outside of the United States, all of the subcomponents of automotive vehicles, and like, this is one of the biggest examples, but even here in our local city, Evansville, Indiana, there was a whirlpool that shifted their entire operations to Mexico. So like literally thousands of jobs got lost because Whirlpool shifted over to Mexico. And so, appliance industries, automotive industries, those are a couple of the big ones that have shifted over to like Mexico and Canada. And now with our president and him enforcing these tariffs, we have to think about how do we bring things back to the United States. And here at Elite Automation, this is one of the things that we are focused on, and it is automation. Automation is like literally the only thing that you can do. Why? Because the reason why things got shifted from the United States to Mexico was honestly low-cost labor. So because of low-cost labor, we shifted our manufacturing from the U.S. to the United States because we knew we could get lower labor rates in countries like Mexico. And now it puts us in this position where we're not actually manufacturing a lot of stuff here in the United States. But through automation, you're able to then bring a lot of those things back and do those things in a profitable way where your company can still make money. So that really just brings me to my first point, is we have to reclaim our ability to manufacture things in the United States. You have to be a company that is ready to deploy, manufacture things here locally and in your local cities, and do so in a profitable way. Because if not, obviously business has to operate on profit. It has to operate on margins. And if we don't have the proper profit margins, then we don't have a business. As a business owner, I know exactly what that means, and it's something that we all have to focus on every single day. One of the second points I'd like to bring is this might actually bring in more capital investment. If you're a growing company and you're looking for new investment, or you have shareholders, or you're a public company, this might actually be one of the things that really brings in new investors. It's something that you can market against. It's something that you can publicize. And through that, you might have new investors coming to the company. And especially, you might reduce the amount of companies, or the amount of investors wanting to leave investing into your company. Because as you fortify doing more manufacturing in the United States and adding more automated systems into your company, then you're able to drive a demand for your company, right? Drive a demand for your stock evaluation or your company evaluation. Me also, as a company owner and as a stock market investor, this is one of the big things I look for. What is a company doing that is future looking, right? I invest in future looking companies. If a company is not future looking, I don't invest in it, right? That is my number one criteria for any company I invest into, at least right now while I'm still in a younger state. Maybe when I hit my 70s, that'll change, but today that's the current strategy. So one of the easiest things to do whenever you're looking to automate is just look at your total number of employees and look what all your employees are doing, whether it's in the offices or on the manufacturing floor. Now, again, we focus on the manufacturing floor and we're doing manufacturing automation at our company, but there's things you can automate in the offices and there's things you can automate on the manufacturing floor. But out on the manufacturing floor, what can you automate? You can look at the total number of employees that you have doing a task. You can look at how easy is the task. If the task is easy, it's more easy to automate. It doesn't cost as much to invest into automation that will 100% be successful. There's proven automation like box palletization. Box palletization is a super easy form of automation that has a 100% success rate. And there's other tasks that are super complicated. Like if you're trying to thread a needle, that might be something that's harder to automate, but that also might be backed up by the number of employees. If you have 50 employees threading a needle, it might be plausible that an automated system can be designed to do that same process and do it and eliminate all the amount of employees that are doing that thing. So you might be able to get your ROI from the number of employees you're able to reduce because you have so many people doing one singular operation. That means you have a bigger bucket of investment to deploy towards the automated equipment. So definitely think about like the total number of employees you have doing a singular operation and how repetitive is that operation. Is it 50 employees doing this and sticking a thread through a needle? If it is, then literally all of that investment or all that cost of the employee can go into one singular investment that is for that automation. Now, given if everybody else is doing something different, one person's doing this, one person's doing that, one person's doing this, and they're all doing a kind of different task, now maybe not all of that can be calculated into one singular investment for the automation, but that's also something we can help you guys with. So if it's something that you're struggling to kind of get through, you can always reach out to us at any point in time and we can come to your site or do a virtual meeting and discuss through these different things. So the next thing is to optimize your cost structures and improve profit margins. Again, this brings me back to the same thing that I was just rambling on about. You have to make sure that you're looking at your total cost of all your employees and see what all of them are doing, and then bring that in and make it a singular investment so that way you can really have the budget to invest into automation, right? You shouldn't be coming to an automation company and saying we have $50,000 to invest. Minimum investment for an automation company is probably $250,000. That's for that simple palletization. And the caveat to add to that is companies will go out of business. Every single company will go out of business who don't have automation. Why? Because somebody will then decide to automate. They'll decide to take the hit on the chin, they may say, and go ahead and automate their facility. Maybe instead of taking a 2-year ROI, they took a 3-year ROI or 4-year ROI on some palletization operation. But now, next year, they don't have to incur that cost of having an operator do that task. And now it's done automatically. They're now able to produce that product at a lower cost, making them more competitive in the market. So over time, things will just wash out. So be the competitive person in the market. The next thing is to have enhanced product quality and innovation. This brings you back to like investors and stuff. You'll have more investors if you have more innovation and quality, right? A lot of companies struggle with quality output and they're losing contracts due to their quality output. If you can include vision systems and other things for inspections, a lot of times inspections are a slow process. Again, I will add that inspection a lot of time is one of the harder things to automate, but if you put the right budget to it, anything can be automated, any type of system, right? I get a lot of inquiries on paint systems, right? Like automotive paint. Those things can be automated. The issue is nobody's ready to spend the amount of money to automate those systems because they cost too much, right? Because the level of, let's say, vision system that you need camera scanning all along that part, all surfaces of that part, right? And since you have to do that and you have to do that in an inline process with the current cycle time, maybe you need 5 cameras. And because you need 5 cameras, now that's a $120,000 investment that they want to spend $20,000 on an investment. So, if you go outside of your normal ROI and look at that, it might start to make sense for a total overall long-term investment. And the biggest benefit you're going to get from this is building a more resilient supply chain. And the overall benefit you're going to gain is building a more resilient and agile supply chain. Instead of going outside of your company to always look for companies to supply to you, go and look for the material supplies that you need to be able to produce parts. Be able to be the company that can source all the different materials that you need to produce that part. And sometimes you have to bring other manufacturing processes in-house, right? That might mean you're not doing injection molding and you have to start doing injection molding, right? You shouldn't have to necessarily go 3 suppliers out and you have to source 20 different parts from some different suppliers, right? You don't have to be a tier 1, tier 2 supplier, talking automotive, where they're supplying subcomponents of components, right? You can supply things by becoming the initial manufacturer of the thing. What does that mean? Buy the injection molding machine. Build the mold for your injection molding process. Honestly, a lot of companies already have the rights to their injection molds, right? Now, especially automotive owns all their fixturing. They own all their molding. So when I say that, they can literally just take that and move it to another manufacturer. So there's nothing really stopping them from just bringing that internal and start making their own injection molding, right? They save the profit margin, they save potential labor, because then they can take that inside and then start automating on that process, right? Maybe whoever their supplier isn't automating the process and automating more aggressively enough. So since they're not automating aggressively enough, they're not able to extract the ROI and really be super competitive in that part that you're getting from them. Again, I know you're going to different companies and getting bids from all these different companies to apply this part, but there's no more efficient way than doing it internally. Why? Because you consume the profit margin. If they're making 5%, 10%, 20% profit margin, that now becomes internal. And with that extra margin, you can do what you want with it. Automate more, take it to your bottom line, whatever it is that you want to do with it. And some of those things that may be to just create new revenue streams. Now that you brought injection molding to your shop floor, now you can start injection molding other people's parts and become a supplier for other companies. So, I'm just gonna give the example of an OEM. This would probably never happen, but let's say for instance, you are an OEM company, you're Ford. Okay, you decided you're gonna do your own injection molding. Now you did your injection molding and you're injection molding your own parts. You can also now start to be a supplier for other companies. Maybe you're gonna start injection molding for Chevy. Again, this would never happen. They'd probably just injection mold. If they're injection molding for the Ford F-150, they'd probably injection mold for some other Chevy vehicle, right? I can get into all the different brands and makes and models, but they could also outsource and start manufacturing for other companies. And a lot of times this is a good source. Instead of just doing your own manufacturing, it's good to bring revenue in from other sources, even though not necessarily the best profit margin, right? Because it just gives you another source of revenue. You see this a lot with people instead of just creating their own companies, they sponsor other companies, right? So you'll see that in a lot of the marketing and branding and stuff like that, where say the Rock Johnson, he may sponsor somebody else's brand and he'll make a big check off of sponsoring them, but he also has his own brands internally where he's just repping his own brand and in that making a huge profit margin, but he's also taking a revenue source from outsourcing his sponsorship. So I think the manufacturing industry can take that and bring it into our industry with our manufacturing processes, not only bring things in to vertically integrate, but also outsource some of those things to other companies, especially during this time. Companies that are scrambling around, shifting around, trying to figure out how do we bring this back to the United States to be profitable, because not only profitable, but at a loss. So if a company like Ford is at a loss for even days at a time, they could literally just go out of business overnight. That's how quick, and that's why you see bailouts that our country has done for some automotive companies in the past. It's just because they remain unprofitable for even just a short period of time, and they needed support to stay running for an extra 3 months, 6 months to make sure they start cash flowing again until the economy got back to a good state. So if this video is useful for you guys, make sure you hit the subscribe button. We have more content coming out like this and more content coming out on tariffs specifically, but really everything just manufacturing and industrial automation related. So stay tuned and I'll catch y'all in the next one.